How's it going, everyone? Today I wanted to go over the top 10 theme teams in Diamond Dynasty regardless of stubs. Last time I did a budget video, but this time I'm going if you have infinite stubs, these are the best theme teams you could possibly rock in MLB The Show 25. And because I don't have unlimited subs, I'm going to be using showzone.gg and their team building feature. I had no idea this was a feature, but they have some really cool stats you could track that I'll show you all in a second. And number 10 on this list are the Cincinnati Reds. The average overall is 88.51, 81 power, 85 contact, 77 pitching, 68 speed, and 72 defense, costing around 275,000 subs. But this is the full Reds team, entirely made out of Reds. But if you get those 18 players that you need for that boost for either team, you can make that team even better, but then also add players where you need to. Probably want to stack that lineup with Reds and that bench. And then the pitching side, you'll have a little bit more flexibility. And that kind of goes for every single team on this list. But yeah, the Reds are definitely a solid option. A little bit pricey with all these special new cards, but definitely a fun looking lineup. And number 9 on the list are the Chicago Cubs. And you might remember this from the cheap theme teams videos, but it still holds up. And coming in at number 9, they are an 88.5 overall, 75 power, 87.85 contact, 82 overall pitching, 62 speed on average, and one of the best defenses, I think the best defense on this list, at a 79.08, coming in at 258,000 stubs. Definitely pretty pricey, but pretty much that entire price is tied up in that Kyle Schwarber card, as all the rest of these cards are super cheap. And just a reminder, these are the overalls pre-boost. So with my recommendation of using the Jolt card and keeping that new captain card in that lineup, you could get the really nice boost from the Jolt card while still being able to use that free 91 overall that you get from the Color Storm promo. Coming in at number 8, just narrowly beating out the Cubs when it comes to overall, are the St. Louis Cardinals. They come in at an 88.56 average overall, 71.8 power, 90.77 contact, which is one of the highest on this list. Pitching is a 78 overall, speed is a 64, and defense at a 74, coming in at 199,000 coins, a little bit cheaper than the last few, but definitely doable if you save your stubs. And also, I can't move around these lineups when they're generated like this, but obviously you'd want that Victor Scott in the lineup. But to maximize that theme team boost, recommend getting that full amount of players and then working whatever players you want in there as well. And here is the pitching group for the Cardinals. And coming in at number 7 on our list are the San Diego Padres, coming in at an 88.91 overall. All these overalls are super close, so all these teams are very viable. For 88.91 overall, 81.81 power, 83.58 contact, pitching at 84, which is one of the best in this list, speed at 60.31, and defense at 78.46, coming in at around 211,000 coins, around the same as the St. Louis Cardinals. I particularly like teams that spread out the boosts like this. You have the Jake Cronenworth here as the hitting boost, and then pitching wise, you have that Joe Musgrove. So you get that double boost, which is a nice addition to the team. You don't really have to worry about which boost you want to pick from which card. So yeah, definitely a lot of options here. San Diego has a lot of special cards, as you could see here. It's not a cheap one, but it's not too expensive. I think you can have a lot of fun with this. And coming in at number 6 are the Baltimore Orioles, 88.92 overall, power at 83.46, contact 81.04, pitching coming in at an 80.08, speed 61.69, defense 68.62, and they are a little bit higher than the last few at 242,000 coins. And keep that Colton Cowser in, but use that Cal Ripken boost over the Gunnar Henderson card that you see there. Just a really well balanced team. Pitching wise, like I said, for most of these teams, you're going to have to work around the bullpen. 3 special cards in your bullpen is a huge plus. Same with a couple good starters. You won't have to work around that too much, but definitely once you get up to that 18 player threshold, you're going to want to swap these bullpen guys and some of these starters out for some better players. And now we get into the top 5, and probably the most surprising team to make this list are the Pittsburgh Pirates. Yes, the Pittsburgh Pirates are coming in at number 5 at an 89.18 overall, our first team above an 89, 81.26 power, 84.5 contact, so super balanced there. Pitching 79.08, speed at 67.38, one of the faster teams, I think the fastest team aside from Cincinnati on this list, and defensively at 74.92, and one of the cheaper options so far at 158,000 818. And a lot of this coming with that O'Neal Cruz and Paul Skeens card. So you could pretty much get most of this lineup for really, really cheap. Some of these cards you could get even for free. I really like this squad, really well balanced, especially with the boost. You could throw that Andrew McCutchen in there and use that boost, as well as using the Jared Jones boost from the new Color Storm. The pitching staff for the Pirates is just really impressive. They're just super balanced, power, contact, pitching, especially with that rotation. And then defense and speed are both really solid, so might have to rock this team in a future Weekend Classic. And not surprisingly, coming in at number 4 are the Boston Red Sox at an 89.49 overall, 82.54 power, 89.19 contact, one of the highest contacts on this list so far. Pitching 79.54, speed 55.62, the slowest team on, or second slowest team on this list. Defensively 68.08. And coming in at 241,844 coins. And so far, all these teams have been around the same price. So if you could get around 250k, you could pretty much get whatever theme team you want, which is pretty cool. But that $241,000 or 241,000 stub price tag comes with a little bit of an asterisk because it does come with that Roger Clemens. So you are gonna have to do a ton of grinding to get that card. But aside from that, you could get this team for pretty cheap. And with the boost, I think this lineup could be really effective online. It's pretty balanced all throughout. But I think the thing that's holding it back the most is the pitching staffs, aside from Roger and Clay. And Walker Buehler's pretty solid too. Aroldis Chapman's a good reliever. But aside from that, there's just not a lot here. So you're really going to have to be creative with your lineup. But regardless if you're a Red Sox fan, this team definitely seems fun to play with. And coming in at number 3, one of my favorite theme teams. Y'all saw this in the last theme team video. But the Texas Rangers coming in at almost a 90 at an 89.99 overall, 85 power, 90.31 contact, pitching at a 78.4, speed 59.6, and defense at 73.7. Definitely slacking a little bit on the defense, but the price tag at 165,000 stubs is the cheapest team we've seen so far, and by far one of the absolute best. This team just hits, as you can see, especially with the Ian Kinsler boost and the Jack Leiter boost. All these guys are near 100 plus contact and really solid power across the board. A little bit lacking there here or there with the Kinsler, the Michael Young, Wyatt Langford, but I think you'll be able to survive because there's a lot of cards that definitely bang on this lineup. Starters, you're pretty solid here with your top 4. Hobie Milner in the bullpen is the only real option, so you're definitely going to have to work around that. But with this batting order and bench and then starters, you'll be able to fill out the bullpen with pretty much whoever you want because this lineup is stacked. Texas got a lot of really good cards this year and a lot of good cards for really cheap, putting us at number 3 on our list, but still being one of the best budget teams you could build. Yeah, overall, really solid team. Really excited to use this team. This lineup absolutely rakes. And I bet you don't have to guess what the top 2 are, but at number 2, we got the New York Yankees. The Yankees are our number 2 team, coming in at a 90.88 overall, 83 power, 92.15 contact. Definitely our best contact so far. Pitching at an 84.23, best pitching so far. Speed at 58.5 and defense at 72.69. This is where they get pricey. So because of Aaron Judge, it is 679,000 stubs. So yeah, aside from Aaron Judge, this team is honestly not crazy expensive if you want to rock a full Yankees theme team. Got this new Derek Jeter card, the new Jason Giambi, that Jorge Posada. So this is a really solid lineup that you could get for pretty cheap if you don't have that Aaron Judge. The only unfortunate thing is you'll probably have to have that Babe Ruth in the lineup. Just put him at 9, not a big deal. This lineup's stacked already. So then you could have that Luis Gil boost and the Babe Ruth boost to fully boost this squad, to make it even better than it already is. Bullpen relatively stacked. All 3 of these cards are really solid, so you're gonna have no problem getting the full 18 card boost. No surprise here, the Yankees are an amazing theme team to rock. This would be a really scary lineup to see online. And at number 1, we got the Los Angeles Dodgers coming in at barely above the Yankees at a 90.93, power at an 86.85, contact 94.15. Both of those marks the highest in the entire list. Pitching 84.23, same as the Yankees. Speed 55, defense 78.38, and then the cost coming in at 717,000 stubs. Pretty much all because of this man Shohei Ohtani. Also this new Corey Seager as well from the new pipeline program. But aside from those two, this lineup isn't crazy expensive, so if you don't want to get Shohei, you could still rock this team for significantly less. around like 100 and something thousand coins. And they have that double boost with the Max Muncy and the Blake Trinan, so you could get 2 boosts there. And your pitching staff, you're not going to really have to worry about it. Maybe take out that Roki Sasaki, but aside from that, you're pretty solid here. Really good bullpen arms. So no problem getting that 18 card boost. Yeah, it's the Dodgers. No one's surprised. This team is stacked. This is probably one of the best overall teams you can make in the entire game. And here's some honorable mentions I still thought were really good teams, and I wanted to show y'all. The A's, as you've seen from my previous video, really great hitting lineup. Pitching is where you're going to have to work around some stuff, but overall really solid. You get Mason Miller. This team is really fun. I've played with it a few times online. Here's another good option. Philly is really nice and a really great budget team. I should have had them in my last video, but I wanted to include them here. Most of these cards you could get for pretty cheap or free. Even if you don't want to get that Scott Rowland, you can make this lineup really good for super cheap, less than 100,000 coins. Another really good team are the Minnesota Twins. You could get for around 125k. Really solid lineup across the board, and you get that double boost with the Jim Cott and the Royce Lewis. So another one here I mentioned in a previous video. Nice budget team you could get for really cheap, and it's a really balanced lineup. A lot of fun cards, a lot of good cards. So yeah, Twins fans, definitely having a good time here with this lineup. The last 2 honorable mentions are really good hitting teams, but pitching is what's really holding them back. So if these 2 teams get any pitchers, then these lineups could be really dangerous. The first one are the Washington Nationals, coming in at 87 overall and only around 98,000 coins. You get this team on a budget. You get that new Bryce Harper. This team is stacked. Only a few holes around the lineup. Pitching is just rough. Aside from that Jordan Zimmerman and Giolito, this team kind of sucks on the pitching side. This team is really solid. I think it's a few cards away from breaking that top 10 because it's a 90 contact, but 73 pitching. Get a few pitchers, get a few more hitters to round out the lineup. I think this could be really solid. Another team that I mentioned in my budget video previously are the Angels. And minus the Rengifo and the Mike Trout, this team you could build for pretty cheap. And especially with the boost, this team is insanely stacked. You get that Bobby Grich in there, plus the pitching boost with this Ben Joyce, who is a really nice reliever. You could get a really stacked lineup, but same thing as Washington. Pitching staff is just awful, but hitting wise with both those boosts, this squad absolutely rakes. So definitely a fun team, few players away, but definitely something to look out for going forward. But yeah, there we have it. That was my top 10 theme teams in MLB The Show 25 Diamond Dynasty. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I really appreciate y'all the support. Have an awesome day. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.